Arg! Ahoy there, matey! Welcome aboard the world of boating.
Please stand clear of the doors. Por favor, manténganse alejado de las puertas.
The radio show devoted exclusively to the boating lifestyle.
You're gonna need a bigger boat.
Brought to you by worldofboating.com, your internet portal for the boating enthusiast.
I was just looking into buying a boat of my own.
Call World of Boating toll-free now at 1-888-88-28-BOAT. That's 1-888-828-BOAT.
And welcome. This is the World of Boating. Greg, your first mate, and Barry the Boater rounding out the crew as we attempt to navigate the latest boating news and information and just have a conversation, I think, a little bit, too. Since we're kind of operating on a skeleton crew today, but probably because of the holiday weekend. I'm going to mark it off for that, Barry. What do you think? Is that a good excuse?
Also, it's just gorgeous out today.
Yeah. Well, we don't want to share with everybody that we made Mike the Mariner walk the plank or anything like that, and keel hold.
And of course, you just ruined that, didn't you?
Yeah, I did.
Yeah.
But it's Easter. I feel
Loose lips,
you know,
sink ships.
Honesty is the best policy.
Oh, okay. So now you're going to go to church tomorrow, and you're going to ask God for forgiveness for everything you did all year.
It's either that or I'm going to hoard on chocolate eggs. I haven't decided yet. One or the other. Or maybe a combination of the both.
You know which ones are good? The best ones are those Cadbury eggs.
Yeah.
The big ones, they're about an inch or so, and they have that cream inside them.
Yeah.
Oh man.
Yeah.
Too sweet. I mean, as a kid I could eat them, but I eat them now. I just feel a little awful afterwards.
Right.
Yeah.
But you like the goo inside those eggs.
It's strange how they make them because it looks like a real egg inside.
Yeah.
You've never had one?
Of course I have. Do you just poke a hole in it and just suck the goo out of the middle? Is that what you do?
Yeah. No, I'm not that good. I mean, anytime we've ever gone out to lunch, you always order for dessert some big chocolate monster cake with ice cream and syrup and all that stuff. I don't know how you eat it.
So what's your point?
Nothing. I just don't know how.
I have good taste?
No, you just love chocolate.
Yeah. Well, it's that time of year.
Yeah.
Anywho, we got to follow up on a story from last week. We were talking about that charter captain in Punta Gorda who yelled at the 22-year-old kid and threatened him. The viral video went all over the place. I don't think he's going to be arraigned not till May, I believe. But there has been an effort from the kid and his lawyer to kind of like, hey, everyone, please step back, cool your jets a little bit, cut this guy a little slack. He's been getting death threats and all this kind of stuff. And I guess, he just made a public statement about that. I mean, we kind of covered it a little bit last week, but I don't know if that's just an effort because it's Easter. Could be a little bit of that going on. I don't know.
You mean forgiveness?
Yeah.
It could be. I mean, the kid's showing a little bit more maturity than perhaps the guy did.
Well, he already did, just the way he handled it. It ends up, too.
Yeah.
I don't know if we said this last week. He admitted that he did have a gun on the boat.
Oh, he did.
Yeah.
And
he didn't pull it
cool.
because he said something to the effect like he didn't feel anyone needed to die today, which is probably a good frame of mind. But he looked pretty scared. I don't know. If I would have had a gun on the boat and it was within reaching distance.
There is a whole litany of things that happens after a shooting.
Well, of course. I mean, it'll
keep you off the radio for quite a while until you get things straightened out. So,
there was a lot of talk
you got to think about
that if he would have pulled out of a gun, if he would have shot the guy, how would it end? We have Florida stand your ground laws. I mean, it would become a huge political mess for the kid too, if something like that would have happened. But he did have a gun on the boat, and he just didn't pull it. Whether it was because he didn't think of it or he was, thinking smart enough to like, hey, this will be, bigger trouble than it's worth. I mean, he says, and we talked about this last week. He said he was this close to jumping off his own boat.
Oh.
Now, and because when the guy came over and boarded him, it scared the bejesus out of him. You can see it on the video. I mean, if you put yourself in that scenario, what would you do? I mean, the kid handled it pretty well. I mean, he kind of used the center console of his boat to kind of create a little bit of a buffer from the guy. Because, I mean, God forbid if he would have came up and got in his face,
Yeah.
I mean, I think that's where he would have probably jumped off the boat. Or I do wonder if he even thought about the gun at that point. I don't know. He just said this past week, though, that he did have a gun on the boat.
I don't know if I've never carried a firearm on my boat. First, I don't like salt water. It just destroys everything.
Yeah.
And you know, even if you forget about it and leave it on the boat for a couple of days, you're going to come back with rust on it.
Okay.
Unless it's stainless steel.
Yeah.
But it just, you know, and I have a concealed weapons permit and I have all that stuff, but you really, really have to think about everything that you can go through afterwards, all the time and hassle of getting your life back together after a shooting.
Well, of course. I mean, mentally,
it really has to be a last resort thing for you.
Yeah, but if a guy boards your boat, like we talked about last week, it's no different than someone breaking into your house.
Well, exactly. And you know, if you at that moment in time feel threatened,
yeah,
if you believe you are threatened that someone's going to harm you, then you protect yourself.
Yeah.
It's as simple as that. You have the right to defend yourself.
Yeah.
And
but if he would have shot the guy, I do kind of wonder. I mean, what would obviously it would have been looked at, and you know they go over with a fine tooth comb. And everybody's life's ruined, that kind of thing. But or if he would have came around and got the guy's face, like he said, he said he was very close to jumping off his own boat because he thought the guy was going to come after him or hit him or whatever. You know, if he did that, then what? You know, I mean, would have that been the better response, or do you defend your property as legally as he could have done? You know,
that's assuming that he already had a firearm in his hand.
Well, right. I don't know how close it was. He just said he had one on the boat.
He had his he had one on his boat. It was probably in the center console, put away somewhere.
Yeah.
All right. So he had his phone and he recorded it, which was
he used a GoPro. He had a GoPro.
Oh, that was a GoPro?
It was.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah. So I don't know if he had it mounted on his body someplace.
On his head or something? Okay.
Yeah, but he had a GoPro going.
All right.
And that's how he captured the footage. So it wasn't his phone. But
and that if anything, that is the best thing in the world for him.
Well, yeah. It definitely backs up
his story. Yeah. It's hard to lie.
Right.
When you have a video.
Well, he even made a comment about that too. The reason he started, filming like he does is when he's fishing. He wants to have a GoPro going so he can capture, reeling in the fish. And all his buddies said, this will be, that moment that you want to capture. And, it might be for personal use or popping up on YouTube or whatever.
So the fish stories that you hear in bars will be backed up with video now.
A little bit more legit. Yeah, because, we know liars are just one degree below lawyers.
Right.
When it comes to lying. They actually might be on even keel, literally. But
okay, there goes your defense attorney. Yeah, right.
So anyway, that's the latest on that. I don't know. I mean, luckily for the kid, gun didn't become a factor. That would have made things much more difficult to figure out. And we'll see how this guy is sentenced and what they do to him. But in the meantime, cool your jets. I don't.
Yeah,
I don't
have fun. I don't understand what they're. Yeah.
Well, how the internet. I mean, the guy has been just killed online for his, outburst and bullying the kid and all that stuff.
I don't get into any of that social media
obvious
stuff. But I mean,
that's why it went viral. Well, that's why it went viral in the news, and he's been, ruined for life. Publicly in that regard, pretty much, I'd say.
That would depend on how they resolve it. I mean, if he resolves it properly in court at whatever pretrial hearing he goes to.
Well, and how the internet is, what has happened is the backlash against him online. People are threatening him, his family, and the typical craziness that goes on in the world sometimes. That's a little over the top.
And let the court system play it out, and if they come to an agreement between the kid and this guy, then that's it. It's between them two.
Right. It's road rage on the water. And
water rage.
Yeah, we got something that's kind of similar when it comes to fishing. We're going to discuss next on the World of Boating. Stay close.
You're listening to the World of Boating Radio Network.
explorer in the other 2/3 of your world. Be the buddy who takes the kids in the aquarium instead of just to it. Be adventurous. Be amazed. Be a diver.
Traffic sucks, unless you're scuba diving with Mike Scott.
Mike glanced down at his dive computer. It showed less than 50 psi left in his tank. Probably just a few more breaths.
Or riding shotgun in a thrilling car chase.
One bullet hit the Jeep's windshield, spiderwebbing the passenger side. Mike shifted into second gear and felt the Jeep leap forward. This just got serious.
Escape your commute with audiobooks from author Eric Douglas. Download to your phone. Go to booksbyeric.com or audible.com.
Hosting a radio show about scuba diving and boating is one of the best gigs on the planet. It's actually part of my job to check out and report on cool new products I personally use to enhance my diving and boating adventures. However, I do believe in sharing the joy, and this is why we've added Nanook protective hard cases to our list of products you can now purchase on the merchandise page at scubaradio.com. Nanook cases are designed to protect the most sensitive equipment in the harshest environments. Underwater photographers, listen up. From their high-impact NK7 resin to their exclusive Power Claw latches, Nanook has raised the bar for those of you that demand the best protection for your gear. Plus, Nanook protective cases cost less than similar products currently on the market. The company has been around for over 15 years, but it's new to the U.S., so we've made a small number of Nanook cases available exclusively for you at a special introductory price on the merchandise page at scubaradio.com. Go there now and check out Nanook, the evolution of protection.
Successfully navigated the Sea of Commerce and now are clear to cruise with the World of Boating.
I do like the water.
The radio show devoted exclusively to the boating lifestyle.
The sun, the sea air, good friends.
Brought to you by worldofboating.com, your internet portal for the boating enthusiast.
Yoo-hoo, Mr. Pirate!
What will we do with a drunken sailor? What will we do with a drunken sailor? What will we do with a drunken sailor at night in the morning?
This is the World of Boating. Greg, your first mate. That's me along with Barry the Boater, rounding out the crew. All right, so we have given you the latest on this Punta Gorda water rage incident. That's not the only place where you'll catch tempers flaring. Out on the water or at the boat dock. Those are pretty common areas where you're going to see some fireworks. It's usually more fun, like a spectator sport there at the boat docks.
At the ramps, it is definitely a spectator sport.
True.
If it's a beautiful day out and you have nothing to do, get yourself a couple of chairs and an umbrella and pack yourself a nice lunch and head down to the boat ramp and watch the fun.
Yeah, that's a fun weekend activity.
It is.
It's quite enjoyable. It's kind of like going to a wrestling match sometimes. But just
except it's real.
Well, right, and things can get pretty heated sometimes. There's no doubt, but it's kind of fun in a twisted sense. But I don't know if these incidents are on the rise or not. I mean, I think this incident in Punta Gorda kind of put a spotlight on, incidents out on the water. I mean, it's been going on for some time where people are saying, people are getting a little bit more agitated out on the water sometimes when they have conflicts, especially in the fishing community. I mean, there is a plethora of videos, for instance, on YouTube of fishermen getting into it, or, there's a story I just came across from Australia about some kids that were, fishing off an island somewhere, deep in Australia, or I don't know if it was a lake or off the coast someplace, but the people that lived around the area came down on the kids like hellfire. They were furious that the kids were there fishing. And
so, but you don't know if it was a private island or
don't know.
Lake was owned.
I mean, it looks like it's ocean,
that.
so I don't know. But I mean, it really doesn't matter. You can find a ton of these type of videos where someone walks up to a fisherman. It's like, hey, you're not allowed to fish here. I was like, what do you mean I'm not allowed to fish here? There's no law about me not being able to fish this particular area, and people go a little overboard. It's with their HOA rules and things, and almost they try to project that out onto marinas sometimes and say you can't fish off the marina, or boat dock, which that may be the case, but that doesn't mean someone can't come up with a little flats boat and fish around your marina. Well, in a lake, it comes into property rights issues, and just like people that kind of over exceed their control in that regard, sometimes they get a little out of line and turn into Karens or Kens. I don't know what's a male. Is a male Karen a Ken?
I think both the terms are not necessary.
Okay,
but I mean, if you enjoy that stuff, that's fine.
There's Ken's, or no, there's Karens and there's Barry's.
Barbie's boyfriend. No,
Barry's. There's Barry's.
Don't even go there. There's no Barry's. Because I feel that if it's private property, it's private property. It's the same reason why you wouldn't want kids going in your backyard swinging a bat and ball, or something like that. Well, even though you have impact windows, there's always the chance one could fail.
Right.
It's just there is private property rights.
Mm-hmm.
But as far as fishing, so we were talking about boat ramps. I know that at John U. Lloyd, which is not really the name of the ramp anymore, they changed it. There are signs posted as to some areas around the ramp they don't want you fishing.
Right.
And it's for a very specific reason. It's because the boats are launching, and you ever get fishing line or something, tangled up in your lower unit, it's a mess to deal with, especially if it winds itself in there.
Mm-hmm.
There are other areas around the water that you can fish on. They don't allow you to fish on bridges. I remember as a kid fishing off bridges, and it depended on the bridge that you were on. They may say that you could fish at a certain point up to the middle of the bridge.
But once again, those I think that's possible. They you say no fishing off the bridge, no fishing off the dock. But if you have a boat and you want to come up around this area and fish, or certain places where state waters and things like that supersede what the local folks or say it's allowed or not.
It's allowed. I think the local waters are still controlled by local police. I know that if you go to, let's say, Port Everglades, where all the ships are. If you drop a fishing line, 15 or 20 feet away from a cruise ship, I guarantee either Broward sheriffs or the Coast Guard are going to come up and visit you,
right,
with their blue lights running and saying, "Hi, what are you doing here?"
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Because the mariners are supposed to keep a certain distance away from those ships. If you recall, I took you out diving one time, and I was not in the shipping lane, the channel that takes you into Port Everglades, but a ship had decided after the second buoy to turn and head southeast, and I was in his way. And I wasn't moving. And I talked to him. I said, "I have divers in the water here."
Yeah.
So he called our friends, the Coast Guard, which you met when you popped up.
Right. And
so
they
did he have the right to say I couldn't have divers there?
Well, I don't know. I mean, I think, don't we have a right to fish and hunt and amendment or something in Florida? I know they were talking about it a couple of years ago.
There was a we do have a right to fish and hunt.
And see, that's where. But once again, when I refer to those videos, and there's God knows how many there is, it's always the argument like, "Hey, you're not allowed to fish here." Yet the fisherman says, "No, I am allowed to fish here. It's a state law. I've done my homework. I know I am allowed to fish here." And the people are saying you can't don't really know, the law in their particular area.
Possible. Yeah. So what do? You call 911. You have an officer come over, and he'll read them the riot act.
Well, maybe if you're out on the water, it wouldn't be 911, wouldn't it? It wouldn't call 911 for that.
Yeah, I mean,
it'd be Marine Patrol if they're out on a boat.
Yeah, Marine Patrol, but a lot of the local cities have their own Marine Patrol. So Bal Harbor has Marine Police, North Miami Beach has Marine Police.
Yeah.
They have them out there.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Especially on the weekends when it's crazy.
Yeah.
So,
well, this situation I brought up from Australia with the kids, I mean, it was like, I don't know, 6 or 7 kids. They're just doing fun little fishing. off this little island, and some adults just went after him, went crazy on him. And, there's there's video and pictures. And, of course, the internet is just flooded reaction defending the kids. Like, why are you screaming at these kids over something as silly as this? Give me a break.
But, I mean, what ultimately was the whole what was the ending to this thing, other than they posted a video which got a lot of views?
Yeah, after they got yelled at, they got chastised, just like the kid who got his boat boarded.
Would that be the same thing as someone, let's say you're disciplining your kid and someone doesn't agree with it and videos it and puts it on YouTube and they start causing an uproar saying, why are you yelling at your kid like that? This is your kid.
I don't know if it is. I mean, the kids look pretty young, Barry. It didn't look like this was a staged, like YouTuber thing, like they were trying to goad the adults into it. But I don't know. Who's right, who's wrong? It's hard to say. Makes for great time wasting when you're watching the videos, though, doesn't it? More coming up.
Yep.
You're listening to the World of Boating Radio Network.
Traffic sucks, unless you're scuba diving with Mike Scott.
Mike glanced down at his dive computer. It showed less than 50 psi left in his tank. Probably just a few more breaths.
Or riding shotgun in a thrilling car chase.
One bullet hit the Jeep's windshield, spiderwebbing the passenger side. Mike shifted into second gear and felt the Jeep leap forward. This just got serious.
Escape your commute with audiobooks from author Eric Douglas. Download to your phone. Go to booksbyeric.com or audible.com.
Do you have a message or product you need to share with the boating world? Well, look no further than the World of Boating radio show. Just like you, thousands of boating enthusiasts are hearing this message, and we could be talking about you and your product or service as early as next Saturday. Remember, a terrible thing happens when you don't advertise. Nothing. Go to worldofboating.com, send us an email, and let's get to work to make your marketing message matter.
Successfully navigated the Sea of Commerce and now are clear to cruise with the World of Boating.
I do like the water.
The radio show devoted exclusively to the boating lifestyle.
The sun, the sea air, good friends.
Brought to you by worldofboating.com, your internet portal for the boating enthusiast.
Come on, Williams, what are you standing around for here? Get on board.
Get on board. Don't fret. Don't try to worry.
This is the World of Boating. Greg, your first mate. Barry the boater rounding out the crew. So I was right. Once again, there is a bill in Florida for the right to fish and hunt. It actually just passed last year.
No, it's not a bill. It was an amendment.
Or amendment.
67%.
Close enough. I'm still right.
No, you're so wrong. It basically added to Article 1 of our Florida Constitution, Section 28, fishing, hunting, and the taking of fish and wildlife. Fishing, hunting, and taking the fish or wildlife includes the use of traditional methods shall be preserved forever as a public right and preferred means of responsibly managing and controlling fish and wildlife. The section does not limit the authority granted under FWC under Section 9, Article 4.
Right.
So, yes.
Just codifying the fact that they got to take into account.
It's not codified. It's in the Constitution.
Okay. Well, it's now a right.
It's a right.
In Florida, fish and hunt. So if they are coming up with rules that they want to put in place, they got to take that into account that fishing and hunting is a right, and they have to be able to justify it.
Well, FWC, I guess, will have to look closer when they make changes.
Right. And I guess there's 23 other states that have similar amendments or rules or laws in their state constitution.
I mean, it seemed like it was pretty much a no-brainer. Whether it does anything special?
Well, I think it is. I mean,
it seemed like a feel-good thing.
No, it's not a feel-good thing. They're trying to keep.
So why?
Well, it's the typical conservation efforts from some groups that'll put proposals out there or try to pass rules and limit fishing and hunting. They may try to come up with an environmental argument that you can't do this because of this, this, and this. And wait a minute, we have a right to fish. You're going to have to come up with a very, very good reason why we don't, or we have to give up our right to fish. in order to put this rule in effect. That's what that was proposed for in the first place. I think that's all they're trying to do is protect, put up a bit of a roadblock to groups that want to just try to use some environmental element that would limit fishing. And
okay, so I
hunting.
guess if we want to, we could fish something to extinction now and not worry about it.
Okay, if you want to take the other side of the argument, yeah, that's
Well,
probably what they did, but they lost. And that on that
ultimately, who loses if the fishing areas become depleted with
well,
fish?
that's what you're assuming would happen, but we don't know if that being the case at all.
Okay,
it's a case by case basis.
You being a scuba diver, who has dove off many of the reefs in South Florida.
Well, okay, that's fine. I know where you're going here, but let's look at the
Where am I
redfish.
going?
Well,
No.
Let's look at the redfish fishery
I
and
know
the
nothing
Gulf.
about redfish.
Okay, well, they closed it down a few years ago.
Why?
And created a big problem for the fishing community in the Gulf because they shut down redfish because they claimed
Why did they shut it down?
Because they claimed the stocks were really low, right?
Okay.
So they did that for a few years. It decimated the fishing community
Industry,
in the area.
right.
And what came back was the fishermen started saying, look, there's redfish everywhere and you're not changing anything. And we should be able to fish these now. And it became a big political, football and effort and everything. And basically the bans, the data they were using to collect the fish numbers ended up being flawed because they were getting their numbers, guess where, Barry? From the fishermen that they put out of business. So they all of a sudden they closed down the fishery, and now they don't really have good numbers to work with, and said, well, we got to keep it closed down, and the fishermen had to rally and finally get it back open, and the fishery's been doing quite well.
That's fine.
Now,
and as
it's
long
opened
as it
back
stays
up.
that way, that's great. As long as they can keep repopulating and you don't decimate a whole entire species, that's good.
Right. But if you're making those rules based on flawed data, which is kind of what came out from that whole effort.
So they should do better research, huh?
Yes, they should do better research, or before they threaten, entire livelihoods and plan to put them out of business, they better have really hard, fast data to show that it's a thing. And because what happens, is that when they shut down a fishery like that,
right?
Once it's shut down, it's very hard to get it to open back up. But now that we have this right to fish rule in place or amendment in place, they have to be able to show like, okay, we've shut this down for this amount of time, and
So
we
you
have
couldn't
to
just-
evaluate. No, we have to evaluate this a year or two later.
And they should be. Yes, they should be
They have to open it
evaluating
back
every
up.
year.
Yeah.
And they should have studies and scientists out there doing these studies and checking to see if doing fish counts, whatever you need to do to say, hey, something. It's like when they brought the was it the Goliath grouper, one of the groupers that they allowed to hunt
groupers,
now?
yes. Yeah.
Okay.
That's
because
another
they
good
said
one.
it came back. All right. But I'm saying, you said that you can't just take this whole industry and start it right up again.
Well, no,
Sort of
I'm
like
just,
the manufacturing industries that we've lost in this country that are now in China that we're trying to bring back here are not going to start up overnight, right?
no, the fishing. The fishing for a particular fish is either opened or closed. There's
Right,
no
but you were
ramping
saying-
up of it.
You were saying that it's hard to start up once you've
No, it's
decimated these-
hard. It's hard to. They don't like to open a fishery back up. Once they shut it down, it's like, hey, we're going to close this and let the fish repopulate. Okay, for how long? Well, we don't know. We'll know when we know.
Of course they don't know.
And that's the problem for the fishermen.
They're gonna
they
send you.
yeah.
They're going to send you out there and watch the mating habits of the redfish to make sure they're doing what they need to do.
Well, right, and I think that is an example of where they might have went too far with the conservation side of things. Now, the Goliath grouper element you bring up is a pretty interesting one as well. Now, you and I being divers, we love seeing those things,
Yeah,
but
they're
the fishermen have been pretty irate in Florida over the last, I'd say, 5 to 10 years, because it's been shut down for 20 or 30. It's been shut down a long, long time.
But they're supposedly slow at doing things.
Yeah, right. But but the fishermen have been complaining that the Goliath grouper have been coming up and grabbing their catch, and they're seeing them way too much and that kind of thing, and and saying, look, there's too many of these things in the water. We're out here every day. We see them, and we know that there's too many of these. And they finally have come back and done studies like, well, yeah, we are seeing more numbers, and now they're in the process of having a limited take for Goliath grouper in Florida. It's created quite a problem for divers that don't want to see these animals taken. But on the other side of the coin, can you blame it for the fishermen if they see a ton of them?
But I wonder now, whose property are they on? I mean, the Goliath grouper actually live in the ocean. We're just floating on top of it. So is it really their private property that we're invading?
I don't know where you're going with
Are the
this.
fishermen trespassing on the Goliath grouper's property?
Well, you could say that about any fish then, Barry.
Right.
I mean, I'm taking this from a boater standpoint and a fisherman standpoint, which is like, can you blame them for wanting to protect their livelihood or passion for fishing and boating?
And this is something that they've passed down from generation to generation.
Right.
And if you talk to the old salts, I'm talking about the ones with really gray hair, you'll find out that. Yeah, thank you. That's why I wear a cap.
Right.
You'll find that a lot of the old timers said there seemed to be larger fish and more of them back in the past. What has happened to them?
Yeah, well, maybe they weren't managed properly. Yeah. I mean, I don't doubt that is the case.
So there has to be balance somewhere.
Right.
There
it's
you
a balance.
go.
That's the key. Or manage. You got to manage the fish stocks accordingly. But you also got to take into account that, hey, there's a lot of history, tradition, and people just love to fish off their boat, right? So you got to take that into account as well. All right, more coming up. Stay close.
You're listening to the World of Boating Radio Network. Successfully navigated the Sea of Commerce and now are clear to cruise with the World of Boating.
I do like the water.
The radio show devoted exclusively to the boating lifestyle.
The sun, the sea air, good friends.
Brought to you by worldofboating.com, your internet portal for the boating enthusiast.
You were expecting maybe the Easter Bunny?
Here comes Peter Cottontail.
This is the World of Boating. Greg, your first mate, that's me, along with Barry the Boater. And we are navigating the latest boating news and information on this Easter weekend. Hopefully you're making the best of it. For scuba divers, it's the Easter eel. We've kind of monopolized that mythical story. It does exist,
the beast?
by the way.
Yeah, okay. Yeah. Jelly beans, and chocolate bunnies.
Well, no, but the Easter eel visits good little divers around the world and delivers, little candy, jelly beans, chocolate, and gets access to every home in the world through their plumbing.
I thought they delivered saltwater taffy.
Possibly that could be a surprise from the Easter eel. But if you haven't heard of
the
Easter eel, Google it. It does exist. And if you want a little bit, a little better twist on the Easter bunny, go with the Easter eel.
The only thing that you find in plumbing down in South Florida are iguanas.
You think?
Oh no,
well,
I know.
Obviously, you haven't been a very good diver, have you? You've never been visited.
I haven't.
By the Easter eel on Easter morning. Well, maybe this weekend is your year.
I put screens over my vent pipes just to keep the iguanas out. I'm sure the eels are not getting.
If you're bad, the Easter eel comes up and bites you in the ass. So, just be forewarned.
You sound like someone who's been through that.
No, I just know the legend.
You're
of the
blushing
Easter eel.
now.
No, I'm not.
Yeah, you
That's
are.
my typical rosy red
cheeks.
Okay. All right. So, continuing on the fishing theme that we've kind of, covered today on the big show, Barry, there's another craze that's been taken over for some time now. Noodling.
What?
Have you ever been noodling?
No, but I have heard about it. And you want to explain what it is?
Yes. Well, noodling is basically catching catfish with your hand or your toes as bait.
Toes? Forget that.
Yeah. They stick them up under a mud bank and and wiggle them around, and then they find the mouth of the catfish will grab hold of their hand or
It'll
toes.
grab its whole arm.
Yeah, well, exactly, and then they yank it out. They pull out these giant catfish. I mean, these catfish might be 10, 20 pounds. Might be even bigger. And
they don't have teeth.
Yeah, well, they do, but they, the people that are doing it, at least the latest video, they have gloves, so they at least have some protection. And if they're using their toes, I've seen it done with toes too. I mean, this used to be just, I don't know, in an area, down in the South, like the lakes of Tennessee or rivers of Tennessee, and I'd see all these videos. But it's actually expanding now. There's a video I'm watching right now that could noodling become the next big thing, and these guys have went noodling in 13 different states now.
All right, in
looking
Florida?
to catch it. No, I don't know if Florida's one of them, but
I mean, we have
all
catfish,
over.
but I don't think we have anything that big.
Well, I don't know that it would matter. If they got catfish, you can noodle for them.
Down here, you put your arm in the water, you may get an alligator grab your arm.
That would be a different type of noodling for sure.
Yeah, that'll be really good.
You're going to come back with less noodle.
That's right.
I'm not sure if that's the proper
That's not such a good thing.
Yeah, but that would add another dimension to noodling in Florida. But sometimes, like if you did that here, do we have catfish in some of the springs in Florida? I would imagine so.
Well, I know they have freshwater catfish. I just don't know if we have them. Yeah, I believe we have them here, but big enough that you would want to do that. And it just reminds me because I'm going to have a birthday soon. And I
want to
think
go noodling for your birthday?
No, I think I won't have to pay for my fishing license anymore.
Oh, yeah? You're over a certain age?
Yeah. I just realized that I can probably get it for free next time I renew it.
Yeah. What is it? 65?
I'm trying to find out.
Yeah. All right. Yeah, there is
That'll
some
be a
rule.
nice thing.
That'd be a nice bonus, huh? And then you could noodle and, you got 4 different appendages that you could sacrifice.
No. I am not noodling. I'm sorry.
Why not?
I have no reason to stick my arm. Yeah, 65 years, a Florida resident, 65 years of age or older.
Yeah.
Is exempt from needing a fishing license.
Aha.
Yes.
Right.
That's right. So this will be the last year for lobster season that I have to pay.
Okay. Well,
actually I got a 5-year license, so I'm probably over.
I mean, in a way, when we go lobstering, we're kind of noodling if you catch them with your hand.
I use a tickle stick and a net. They have spines on them.
Well, yeah, but if you have a glove, you could grab them by the head there, by the carapace.
Do you have those 2 little big ass, spines? No, the 2 spines on their head below their antenna.
Yeah,
those are sharp.
Well, of course, but
Not the antenna.
You can still grab them with your hands.
The only ones I've ever grabbed are...
Don't get. I mean, you can. It's hard.
You can get it. Yeah.
Yeah.
But
I mean, that's how they do it out on
backwards.
Well, they do that on the West Coast. They hand catch them in California.
Are they spiny?
Yeah,
like that?
They're California spiny lobsters. Yes.
Okay.
They're very similar. Don't be such a wuss in your old age.
Yeah, right.
I mean, it makes it a little bit more challenging for the lobster, just like noodling, I think, is... I kind of wonder, the reason I bring this up, I wonder if that's a little bit more sporty way to catch fish than with a hook and line.
Okay, so what do? You're at the bank of the river, and you're sticking your hand in the mud, and just kind of wiggling your fingers like a worm.
Well, they generally bury holes up under the bank of a river or lake or whatever, or under a root of a tree kind of thing. That's what a catfish generally will do, and they'll be hanging out in these holes, and then they stick their hand down there and feel around, and hopefully, I guess they wiggle their fingers or toes, and then they can tell, like, oh yeah, that's one. He got me, and then you got to dive down and hold your breath and pull that big ass fish out,
and that big muddy water. Okay,
mouth and has its foot in your mouth.
Right.
It's crazy. I know. Well, it sounds great, but it's expanding. The sport appears to be one of the new things. I mean, this is getting more and more popular, I think.
You'll probably need a fishing license to do it down here.
Well, it's still fishing, yeah, just like it would be, like if you're spear fishing as a diver. I mean, and the reason why I say is this a little bit more sporty because, I mean, you got a little bit more, skin in the game.
More skin in the game?
Literally.
Yeah.
When it comes to spear fishing for fish, there's people that feel that if you're doing that while you're scuba diving, that's an unfair advantage. And the only way you should spearfish should be while you're breath hold diving or free diving, or snorkeling, right?
Oh, this will be interesting. Noodling for catfish and sometimes practiced in Florida, though it's illegal in most of the state.
Huh.
Why? I don't know.
Yeah, I would think that, like I said, I would think that would be a better chance for the fish.
Well, I don't know. It says tips for noodling: wear tight clothing that hugs the skin, wear gloves, avoid wearing jewelry. Yeah, you wouldn't want to wear, your girlfriend has her engagement ring on and she noodles and then all of a sudden the diamond is gone.
Right.
That fish is about to become dead meat.
Well, there's that. And you've got to eat it first to get it back.
Okay.
Yeah.
I
would think it'd be
is any good, but it could be.
What do you mean, catfish? Catfish is a great fish.
Oh, I know. No, but I'm saying I don't know how those big, the older the fish gets, the tougher and stringier, and it's like you get all rubbery and all that.
Sorry, you're not going to eat me. We've set the.
We can't fry you up.
No, we've set the protocol for the World of Boating crew here years ago.
Yeah.
That if we ever get stranded at sea without power, no way to survive other than eating the other crew members, you're the first one.
Oh, I'm the first. Wait, how did we establish that?
Fat is flavor, Barry. Do I need to say anything else?
Going away, even as we speak.
Okay, you better work on it. Start noodling. Okay. On that disturbing note, we're going to wrap it up for this week. Till next time, remember, whether it is sail or motor,
life is better as a boater.
Safe boating, everyone.
Here, you barnacle-bitten swab.
World of Boating is brought to you by worldofboating.com, your internet portal for the boating enthusiast.
Any of this getting through to you, son?
World of Boating is a production of Overboard Entertainment Incorporated.
Computer standing by.
Remember, you can listen live or to archives of past shows worldwide over the internet at worldofboating.com.
Computers can do that?
So tell a friend and come aboard every week for the World of Boating.
This is so great. I can't wait. I'm getting goosebumps. Feel me.
The radio show devoted exclusively to the boating lifestyle.
TTFN, ta-ta for now.
The opinions you just heard on the World of Boating are those of the hosts, callers, and guests. They are not necessarily those of any station or network, its management, or advertisers.
What are you being such a weenie for?
While on the water, your safety and the safety of many others depends on you. So boat smart and operate your vessel only after receiving the proper training and instruction for your area.
There is a fine line between genius and madness.
Have any questions or comments? Feel free to do so via the web at worldofboating.com.